Well, good afternoon, everyone. How are you doing out there? Welcome to Studio B in the Elmwood Media Complex. Tuesday, May 27th, 2025. I'm Kevin Rouch. This is the Daily Scrum. And you might wonder, wow, that's a lot of episodes if you're going daily to talk about rugby. Nope. We're using the sense of the word scrum as in a group of reporters surrounding an interviewee. And I've been in a lot of those scrums over the years, and usually not the loudest until the interview's over, and then I'm pretty loud. But there are so many good reporters here in Columbus that I usually kind of follow their lead in those scrums. But that's why we're calling it, because we're going to talk about sports of all kind, maybe some other stuff too. And we hope that you'll join us at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. We'll be here maybe, an hour, maybe a little less than that. The great thing about being online is that there are no time limits. My dad was a 6 and 11 o'clock sports guy in my hometown of Zanesville. And you had to hit the mark for the commercials and the beginning and end of the show and all that sort of thing. So we're going to take our lead from the internet. And if it's relevant, we'll keep going. If it's not, we'll stop a little early and we'll let you get on about your day. Today, the question is, why are we even doing this at all? This is our inaugural webcast. And, why are we doing this? Well, the idea of CBUS Sports came about couple of years ago in February, I guess, of 2023. We felt there was a need to fill a niche of local sports coverage. If you remember that This Week papers kind of wound up their run, and my kids benefited from that coverage, high school coverage, here in Grandview, where the studios are located. And I didn't want to let that go. It was important to me to continue the coverage, so we hired some reporters from there, some photographers. We have been trying to figure out the mix ever since, and we'll continue to do that till we get it right. But one of the things that we wanted to do was to offer a daily show that didn't overdo it, didn't go too long, but was able to, again, to kind of fill in the niches where there's a lot of good radio talk here in town. There are a lot of great reporters here in town for all kinds of publications, all kinds of blogs. But what we felt we could do is we could do more short form stories that allows the casual sports fan to get caught up. If you're going to a Clippers game or a Blue Jackets game or a Crew game or one of the Ohio State sports, but especially high school, if you know where you're going, we want to provide you some information so you have a better time, so that you really know where you're going. And so that's what we're dedicated to on the website side of things. If you look at CBUS Sports today, for example, our lead story is about the Clippers yesterday. Tough game in Rochester after getting off the bus, playing the day before here in Columbus. But we're talking about Denison, and Grandview had a great athlete that just competed for Cornell in the steeplechase. You're not going to get that a lot of places, and we want to bring that to you because they're great stories. So combined with the website, this show will do exactly that. Bring you those stories that aren't being covered elsewhere. And we want to do it with great photos. We've got a couple of photographers who are just phenomenal. John Hulkenberg, Kevin Lamb have been doing a lot of really good work for us, and they'll continue to do that. We're going to combine videos, our social media. We're updating today. I won't go into great detail. We'll do that another time with an interview, but we're adding a team member that is going to help us really enhance our social media coverage, and we'll talk about that more this week. But we also do want to do live streams. One of the things I've been able to do here in Columbus early on, we started doing Grandview football, for example, where my kids played. We've been able to do those since, 2006. So we were early on in live streaming, and we'll be doing podcasts, including interviews, studio shows, and bringing you games and matches and contests of all kinds. So we want to have you along for the ride. The hour in the afternoon is just kind of fun to see what's going on as we spin around the world. We're going to talk a little bit about national news, and we're going to do that mostly on Mondays to talk about the weekend and the week coming up, because you can get the national news most places. But we do have some touch with it because of our teams here in town. So let's take a look, or in the state that you might be following. And first thing up is the NBA playoffs. Tonight we go back to Indianapolis, where the Pacers lead 2-1, but the Knicks able to get back from 20 points down in Game 3 a couple of nights ago and bring that back to a 2-1 deficit in terms of games. Last night, OKC took a 3-1 lead, won by a couple of points after, just being throttled in Game 3. So they're up 3-1. They'll be back in OKC in Oklahoma City on Wednesday, again, with the Thunder up 3-1. So that's the NBA. Kind of looking, well, I don't know. I think the East is still in doubt, but it looks like OKC is going to head to the finals unless Minnesota can do something heroic. The NHL playoffs, Florida looked like they wanted to wrap it up last night, but couldn't get going. And Carolina won Game 4, shutout actually, 3-0. So they'll go to Game 5 Wednesday night back in Florida. Edmonton in the West is leading 2-1 over Dallas, and they will play tonight in Edmonton. We could have a repeat of last year if both Florida and Edmonton can make their way out of their conference playoffs. And so that might be interesting to see if there can be a turnaround there or if maybe Dallas will rally a little bit. They had quite a great season, so we'll see if they can get back at it. But again, the games tonight you can watch in the NBA. It will be the Pacers and the Knicks in Indianapolis. And in the NHL, it'll be Edmonton, Dallas in Edmonton. So we'll have both of those tuned in. Looking at the at Major League Baseball, just real quick, we don't really get into it too much until the other seasons are over, but some interesting performances going. And actually, you've got the Detroit Tigers with the best record in the AL as they lead that Central Division. Yankees on top in the East, Mariners in the West. The Guardians they're 4.5 back of the Tigers, but playing well. And so many guys for the Guardians that played here in Columbus that it's fun to watch them have success, really, after being here last year and the year before, for the most part. The best record in baseball, though, in the with the Phillies in the East in the NL, they're just really hot. And Kyle Schwarber, who an Indiana grad, I am an Indiana grad as well, and fun to watch, see what he's doing in the DH spot for the Phillies. The Cubs are having a phenomenal year so far. They are in first place in the Central. The Dodgers in first in the West. The Reds are tied with the Brewers in third place. They're one game under 500, 6.5 back of the Cubs. Now, interesting. Let's see if you know the names of the leaders in the various categories. Well, a couple of them you'll know a lot about. In the hitting category, Aaron Judge leading everybody with a 398 average. Of course, hitting for power as well, but it's Shohei Ohtani leading in the home run race, 19 home runs now, and he's starting to throw. So he may be back pitching here very soon. But the interesting guy to keep an eye on is the Cubs' Seiya Suzuki, who has 49 runs batted in. The Cubbies, 324 runs in their first 54 games. And if you want to do the math, it comes out exactly to 6 runs a game. So the Cubbies getting it done on the attack, 324 runs, 54 games. See if they can keep that up if the wind keeps blowing out at Wrigley. Pitchers so far, you've got the Nationals' Mackenzie Gore with 93 strikeouts so far, leading the way, although he's 2-5 record-wise, so it doesn't always mean a win, but he leads by a little bit with 93 strikeouts. The guy that's just getting it done in New York for the Yankees, Max Fried, a 1.29 earned run average. He's 7-0 so far in the season. Okay, so what we're going to do, usually on Mondays, because of the holiday, we did it today, we'll wrap things up for a weekend, give you some of the leaders and who's doing what. And again, intended for those that may have fallen away and go, I have no idea who's doing what. So again, Yankees, Tigers, Mariners in the East, Phillies, Cubs, Dodgers in the West. All right, now we get to the local stuff, and we'll do it. Actually, we'll take just a little break. This would be where we're going to put some commercials from some friends that we're working with and working to get them on the air and also on the website. And, of course, if you're ever interested in that, and we haven't talked to you yet, you can give us or send an email to us at info@cbussports.com, and there's 2 S's in the middle there. So info@cbussports.com. But again, we're just going to take a little break. And that was the little break. There you have it. So let's talk about things going on here in the local area. I'll tell you, one of the fun things for me this year so far is the ability. And, when we started this, so let me back up just a little bit. I've been doing this a long time. I'm not going to bore you with a bio. You can take a look at the About Us on CBus Sports if you're really interested. But having done this for a while, I started cutting film at WHIZ in Zanesville, where my dad was the sports director when I was 16 years old, and developed the film. I tell everybody, with all the chemicals we used to develop the film in those days, I would have been way taller had I not taken that job. But I'd got a lot of great experience running a 16 millimeter Bolex camera and really kind of keeping in touch. Mostly it was Zanesville stuff, but we'll come up to Ohio State, like state track meet and that kind of stuff. And it was always a lot of fun. So been doing it for a while, and got a chance to do Zanesville play-by-play on radio and TV. And when they won state championship in basketball in 95, 30 years ago now, was on that crew. And you get to call the win for your high school where you had a lot of fun, and get to come back as an adult and do the play-by-play for that, and some color work as well for that. That was a lot of fun. So I've been doing this for a while. And when we started, it was never my full-time gig, but always something that I wanted to do, and did a lot of announcing kind of on the side. And in fact, my first football game I ever did back in the day was a game down at New Lexington High School, and Rob Carpenter was the head coach for the New Lex Panthers, and I got to interview him after the game, after he won the game, one of his first wins, and before he went to Lancaster and had so much success there, and after coming out of the NFL. But it was so much fun to interview him, but about broke my arm with his handshake. I mean, that was a powerful guy. And I'm not a little guy, but he was something. And, you just have those kind of stories all through it. But coming back a couple of years ago to do this, and now really more on a full-time basis, one of the nice things has been the welcome that CBus Sports has received really across the board from teams. And one of those teams, in fact, the first, and this I was really excited to be able to cover it, were the Blue Jackets. They treated us great and have for the entire time. Great crew over there. The media people are first rate. I look forward, maybe we'll be able to interview them as we go forward on the show. But they're just great, and they get it, and it's such a good experience for fans generally, and the fans have responded by supporting the team incredibly well. But for the media as well, we get the things we ask for and more, and very cooperative, and the players are great, and it's just been a lot of fun for the last couple of years to be able to cover that. And one of the really great guys, Zach Werenski, it was interesting because when we interviewed him at the end of this season, of course, it greatly disappointed because it came down to last couple of days as to whether or not the Blue Jackets would get in the playoffs. And, a team that was expected to finish at the bottom in the East and just played their hearts out, especially at the end of the season, and always dealt with some adversity, obviously, because of the passing of Johnny Gaudreau right before the season and his brother. And it was just awful. I mean, it was just a terrible, sad day and season with that overlaid over it. But it was Zach Werenski who, it was interesting because Boone Jenner, who's a great captain, but he was hurt right out of the gate, didn't come back until after the beginning of the year. And what, it turned into, he was around the team a lot. We saw him a lot at the arena, but Zach Werenski was the guy that kind of stepped into that. And you know who the go-to guy is after a very tough loss, who is going to speak to the reporters at the end. And that guy was, for the most part, Zach Werenski. And he did it with a lot of class. And he's just that kind of player and kind of person. And at the end of this year, he said he was not going to participate in the Worlds, the IIHF Worlds, which just got wrapped up this past week, because he's getting married this summer, and there was a lot of other things he was going to do. But I think at the last moment, the USA team was compelling for him, and he jumped into it with both skates and helped lead them to a win that was, it go back 93 years? Last time they won this championship in this form, because the Olympics are different and some other competitions are different. But they were able to do it. Historic win. And he came back to help play on that team, and I think added a lot. They won the championship 1-0 over Switzerland. It was Tage Thompson, the guy who likes to score goals against the Blue Jackets, had, I don't know, it was 7 in one game. I can't remember. It was some astronomical figure, but he scored what they're calling the golden goal in that overtime to beat Switzerland, and the USA got the win. But I was really happy for Zach Werenski. And if you haven't seen the videos, and we'll try to get this up on our YouTube channel, or at least share it with everybody who follows us. If you didn't see it yet, one of the cool things is they brought a Gaudreau jersey out, because the last time that Zach Werenski played hockey with Johnny Gaudreau was in these same championships last year. So they brought the jersey out. It's in the team picture. It's as they took the cup around, it was with that. And then at the end of the game, you know how the Blue Jackets give the kepi. This year it was the donkey, because that was favored by Johnny Gaudreau. But the other players had a Nick cap, one like Johnny wore often, and they awarded that at the end of the game to Zach Werenski. Another video that has been making the rounds, and it's just emotional to see. And you could tell Zach was touched by that honor and the ability to continue to have Johnny Gaudreau front and center for the great things. And he did, and his brother did in their lives. And it was just special to see. It was fun to watch. And again, USA, big win, historic win in the World Championships. Now, remember, they're going to be we've got the Olympics next February. So one of the things that'll be a little bit different is it'll be more like the Four Nations competition this last February, where, again, Zach Werenski, fantastic performance there, leading scorer for the U.S., although they lost in overtime to Canada That on, whoever that guy was that made it in the overtime. Okay, Connor McDavid had the shot in the overtime, but they runner up. Then he played well. Played well again in the World. So it'd be interesting to see. But because so many players for the teams that were in the competition are playing playoff hockey now, they weren't in it. So the rosters were a lot different for this, and they are for these World Championships. And we hope that Columbus will not be able to send anybody next time because they'll be deep in the playoffs. But for the Olympics next year, it'll be much more like the previous competition that we saw in Four Nations. So we'll look forward to that. But hats off again to Zach Werenski for being not only a really good hockey player, but being a really strong character guy. Just has made a world of difference around here. And I can tell you, dealing with him behind the scenes is you're just not going to find a better guy. He takes tough defeats like you want. You can tell he's frustrated about it, but he composes himself and talks about moving on. And that's the thing that a guy that they send out, the Blue Jackets send out whenever it's a tough spot. And now Boone, again, now that he's in there, those two guys really are the ones that take that pressure. So that's what's going on. Now, we also, in the Worlds, not as much fun for head coach Dean Evison and Steve McCarthy, who was an assistant coach with Canada. They got beat by Denmark in the quarterfinals. Some are calling it the biggest upset in World's history. I don't go back that far, so I don't know that that's true, but it certainly was a bit of a shocker that Denmark got Canada. We had a couple of players. The Blue Jackets had a couple of players on that Canada team, Adam Fantilli and Kent Johnson. And when I say our, I mean because it's in Columbus, not because it's our Blue Jackets. But the Blue Jackets had a prospect in Samuel Konashko, who played for Slovakia. And if you haven't seen, Konashko has played a couple of games. He played a couple of games in 23 with the Blue Jackets. He is now, the last 3 years, he's been playing for Cleveland for the Monsters. But he was on the Slovakian team again. He's been on most of their national teams since he has been old enough. So he's got that going on. Now, what's interesting about Werenski, too, he and Jeremy Swayman, the goalie from Boston, were the only players on both the World team and the Four Nations team. Swayman didn't play. He was the third goalie behind Connor Hellebuck and Jake Ottinger, but he obviously was the main guy now with both those guys in the playoffs, and he did a great job to lead them to, he got a shutout and an overtime win, so pretty well done. And again, it'll be February before we see all that again, before the World competition gets back together. And again, the rosters will be a little fuller in that sense because everybody is available for that. What else happened over this weekend for some local teams? Well, the Indy 500, and this isn't something there isn't a lot of press around here, so let's talk about it just a little bit. We have two teams that call Columbus home, and I'm kind of leaning sideways. Meyer Shank does call Pataskala home, and they had 3 cars in the Indy 500. We'll talk about how they finished. Then you've got Ray Hall Letterman Lanigan, who was based in Hilliard for many, many years. They now still have a presence in Hilliard, but they have set up shop also near Indianapolis. So they've got a couple of places they go. And they had 4 cars in it. But let's talk first about Meyer Shank. They've done great. They had Elio Castroneves, who when he won his 4th Indianapolis 500, he was racing for Meyer Shank, and he was again Sunday. He finished in 10th, but Felix Rosenquist, of all the local people affiliated with local people, he was the top racer with a 4th place finish. Now, what's interesting about that, he actually finished 5th, but there were some racers at the end of the day that were punished and moved to the back. And it was, Marcus Erickson was in second place, got moved all the way to the back. And we'll see, and that was with the Andretti Global team, and we'll see if that ends up, they're going to appeal and maybe he'll come back. But for the moment, after the moving him back penalty at the end of the race, Felix Rosenqvist finishes at fourth. The other Meyer Shank, again, Castroneves in 10th, and then Marcus Armstrong finished in 18th. For the Rahal team, they brought back Takuma Sato, who is not a full-time racer with them, but he's won the Indy a couple of times. And he came back and finished in 9th, so a top 10 finish for him. Devlin DeFrancesco, the Canadian, finished in 11th. Lewis Foster, the rookie, in 12th. And then the namesake Graham Rahal finished in 17th. Of course, Graham Rahal, graduate of New Albany High School. And so he finished in 17th. So really good days for both Meyer Shank and Rahal, Letterman, Lanigan. And Dave Letterman was there and sporting the beard and had some interviews early in the day. A little bit of rain at the beginning, but things went smoothly once they got started and got all the way to the finish. Just a few little suspensions at the end that made a difference. So again, Columbus area doing well it's funny, we had some names for it. We'll just call it the Indy 500. And what's interesting, if you've ever been there, it's in Speedway, Indiana. And for those that don't know the race, there it's a 2.5 mile oval, and so they go 200 laps. There are golf holes in the middle, and they also have part of a road course now they've constructed there. But there, I think, are 6 golf holes in the middle of the track. That's how big it is. One quick story, when I went as a young kid with my dad was covering it because, Zanesville needed to know about the Indy 500. So he and my mom and my younger sister went. And as we walked in, my dad said, we'll meet at this big balloon when the race is over. It so happens the big balloon was filled with a bunch of small balloons, and they released those at the beginning of the game or at the beginning of the race. And so we didn't have a meeting place, but my mom got so bored, she just went back to the car after. I'm going to say she was there 45 minutes and went back and hung out. So we ended up being okay, and we're all, we were all fine at the time. But yeah, and when you're there, it is the loudest, scariest beginning of a race because it is just so loud when they get started. I was there the year that the pace car crashed into the photographer stand. And actually a couple of people passed away because of it. Just got away from the person driving the car. And we didn't know about it. We were actually in the straightaway. We didn't know about it until they have a newspaper that comes out halfway. I don't know if they still do that. But it had that as a lead story. So kind of weird, but, it's just a fascinating place for 300,000 people to congregate and see a sporting event. But there's some little bit of terror involved with the sounds of that race. And fortunately, everybody was fine yesterday. We'll see if people were cheating. That'll be the last kind of PSS on all of that. Okay, so that was Indy. That was Zach Wierenski as well. But we have a couple of really compelling stories from college, and it is out at Denison University. Denison has been one of those places over the years. A lot of famous alums coming from Denison, and their sports have been good. And there are local people that go to Denison and do well. But they bring in people from all over the place because of the great education that you can get there in Granville. And in this last week, they had a couple of accomplishments that bear noting. Their men's tennis team traveled out to Claremont, California, and beat Case Western. We could have had that match in Akron or someplace, but they went out to Claremont, got to the Division III NCAA championship. And Denison beat Case 4-2 for their first national championship. That is really unbelievable when you think about the number of teams, what it takes to have good days throughout the competition as you get there, and then you're playing the elite in the country. And so hats off to the Denison men's tennis team. The head coach out there, and we hope to have him on the show. We can talk about it a little bit, is David Schilling. He is in his 5th year. He played there at Denison and then was an assistant coach at Ohio State for 20 years before he went back to Denison to take the head job. Last year, they were in the Elite Eight for the first time. This year, they get all the way and win. Now, I was talking about getting players from other places. Their top player this year and last year, he's now a junior, Cale Shaw. Cale Shaw he matriculated in high school at the American International School in Barcelona, Spain. He is a native of Nairobi, Kenya. So you talk about some pretty good recruiting efforts. Went to school in Barcelona, born, raised in Kenya, and he led them throughout the year. And this year, like last year, he was the runner-up in the national championship singles match. So he's the number 2 player in the country this year and last year, and his team got all the way to the finals and won, and they'll put that trophy in the case for the first time. So, again, congratulations to Coach Schilling and to the rest of the men's team out there. And as though that weren't enough, the baseball team is headed to the Division III Championship Series. You call it the World Series if you wanted to. They will play there beginning May 30. So what date is that? That's the end of this week. They'll start and they'll play it. It'll be, there are 8 teams that go to the championship series, and they're going to play this in East Lake, Ohio, up near Cleveland. It's the stadium where the Lake County Captains play, the Guardians single A club up there, short season club. And that will, again, East Lake, Ohio, 8 teams. Denison is the number 2 seed. They will play the number 7 seed, Rowan University, nicknamed the Profs, Profs. They will play Friday at 4:45. It's a double elimination. And once the double elimination has 2 teams at the end of their pools, there's 2 pools. Once those teams play, they play a best-of-3 final series for the national championship. So Denison may have another national championship trophy to stow away there in Granville. But again, hats off to Denison, man. Men's tennis getting the championship in Claremont, California last weekend, and then this weekend and a little bit of the next week, the baseball D3 series. So good luck to both of the good luck to the baseball Big Red, and congratulations to the men's tennis team. So not too bad at all. What we're going to be covering this week, local, again, there's always stuff going on, but there's a couple of state championships coming up at the high school level this week, and we're not going to go through all those today. We'll do a preview on Wednesday of both of these, but we want to call your attention to it. And first of all, getting started is boys tennis. There are, despite the fact that almost every sport went to 7 divisions this year, for the first time, there are still 2 divisions in boys tennis. And so double singles will get started on Thursday and then end up on Friday. And we'll have a preview for you on Wednesday. A lot of local kids playing, and they are playing at the College of Worcester, or Zanesville. I just say Worcester, like most people, but that's where they're playing. And again, that's Thursday and Friday. That's a lot of fun. And if you go up there, it's a great place to watch a lot of matches because there are, gosh, I don't remember if it's 4 or 5, but on each side, the press has a little walkway through the middle where we can take pictures. But on the outside of all of those, you can watch the matches. And then at one end, there's kind of a viewing area so you can watch that near match where they try to play the championships when they can. So that'll be going on Thursday and Friday at Worcester. Really, really nicely run tournament up there. And if it rains, they go inside. There's a local indoor tennis club, and we'll have all that for you when we do the preview on Wednesday. Or you can just go to the OHSAA site and get all that information. But we'll be covering it. I'm going up on Thursday to watch the prelims, get some photos for our purposes. Looking forward to it. Volleyball, boys volleyball. We will be covering, again, only 2 divisions in boys volleyball. And they will start on Friday with the semifinals. And then on Saturday will be the finals over at Wittenberg University. Have covered a lot of sports there, basketball primarily, but now boys volleyball, and they always do a nice job at Wittenberg. We will be assured in Division I, since we have 2, and again, we'll talk more about it on Wednesday, but we have 2 Division I teams that will be playing, and they will, so we'll have somebody in the finals in D1, maybe not in D2. We have 1 team playing, but, a little teaser there. You come back, and we'll talk about that more on Wednesday, which is tomorrow. I keep talking about like it's way in the future. I forgot with the Monday holiday. But anyway, that's all tomorrow. So we'll talk about that. We've got one thing I do want to tell you before tomorrow, though. The other thing that we're keeping an eye on are the softball regionals. If you want to go out, there's a couple of really good places, actually 3 good places to go if you want to see teams from Central Ohio in the softball regionals. Regional semifinals tomorrow in 3 places. Big Walnut, if you're interested in Lancaster, Olentangy, Gahanna, will be playing tomorrow out there, and then Mentor, throw them into the mix. So there are 4 teams. Out at London tomorrow, and usually they do start at 2, and then they have a second game at 5. So you should look and see. Again, all that's on the OHSAA site. We'll mention it again tomorrow, just to give you a little more specific. And then those are both, that's in D1. The other D1 matchup is out of London. They'll be playing over at London, Marysville, Delaware Hayes, and Grove City, and then throw Lebanon in there. So it's possible that you could have 2 teams in Division I in the state semifinal round. I think they would play each other, but that's up in Akron at the Firestone Complex up there. Or Mentor and Lebanon could come out, and we would have no one, or some combination. But D1, those are the 2 places to watch, a Big Walnut in London tomorrow. And then in D2, out at Pick Central, which is a great place to watch softball, by the way. You've got Mount Vernon, Watkins Memorial, who has been really good the last couple of years, Tays Valley, and Dublin Scioto. So again, Mount Vernon, Watkins, Tays Valley, and Scioto will be at Pick Central tomorrow, starting at 2:00. So there's a lot of good softball to go watch, and it just gets better and better. I've really enjoyed it. I'm a baseball guy, worked in minor league baseball, went to umpire school, did all that crazy stuff. The one thing that I cannot do in baseball, softball is I coached. I have a daughter who played. I cannot teach the pitching angle. That is such a tough thing in softball. I have tried. I've broken it down. I've tried to do it. It's the people that can coach that and then do it well, worth their weight in gold, because it is so hard. But you'll see some great ones if you go out to those tournaments. I think that catches us up today. And as I told you, we're not going to belabor it. We're going to try to get some interviews that might take us a little longer in the future, but we'll let you know. You can always check back to the website as soon as we know what we're doing. Bottom, and this won't help anybody watching on their phone, scroll down till you see it, but bottom left on your desktop, we'll put up the slide that says what we're doing the next day, and hopefully you'll join us, and we'll love having you. We're going to do trivia here in just a minute. But I do want to tell you again tomorrow. The Clippers play tomorrow morning in Rochester, 11 a.m. start. And I want to pull that story up so I get it exactly right. It'll be, and this is a guy you got to see through, left-hander. And again, you can get on I think it's the Bally app for free, or if you have MILB, so minor, MILB.TV, you can watch it, or you can listen to our friend Ryan Mitchell, who is doing the play-by-play on 9:20 a.m., which is a Fox affiliate on radio here. But if you see it, you're going to see a guy named Parker Messick at 11 o'clock tomorrow morning. He's 3-1 so far with a 2.95 ERA. First AAA experiences this year. This kid can throw the baseball. And, there are a lot of good players with the Clippers right now. But I would tell you, take a look at this guy. And he'll be thrown in the next homestand. So we hope you'll get a chance to come out and see again. Parker Messick, Messick is his name. Lefty who has he's had really one bad game. And the rest either were wins or they just didn't get enough runs to help him out. He's that good. But he's going to be on the hill tomorrow morning, 11 a.m. It's one of those probably camp days where they bring in the day camps from the area, and they make a lot of noise through the whole game. So it'll be interesting to see if that's what it is. I'll be watching because we look forward to seeing the Clippers play. But again, that's tomorrow. And then we're hoping to have our first guest tomorrow. We'll see how that goes. So cross your fingers. We'll try to get that in. This really, this week and really the first couple of weeks here, we're going to try to figure out the best way to do this. I just don't like talking at you, which is kind of today to test some things out here in the studio. But that's not going to be what we want to do. We want to talk to other people and have some fun and involve people that might want to email in while we're doing this and call in at some point. So that's where we're going. We hope you'll hang in there with us. And, if you're bored at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, tune us in or take a look at us later in the day once the recording populates on YouTube. So anyway, that will do it except for our trivia question. Now, this is interesting because it really is not a sports question except for I heard it on the Cubs game yesterday listening on Sirius XM. And I wanted to hear a little, get a feel for, because again, they've been scoring so many runs, and I wanted to listen to a little bit of the broadcast sitting out on the porch, and they've got a new sponsor. So that's their new sponsor is the answer to this question. But it is the oldest brewery in the United States. And it is still family owned. In fact, it's the biggest craft beer brewery in the United States. The biggest brewery that's wholly owned by people in the U.S. And it's in a neighboring state. That's all I'm going to give you. Now, I know you can look it up. That's easy. See if you can answer it on your own, and we'll have the answer for everybody tomorrow along with our latest trivia question. And maybe we'll we might have an interview tomorrow. We'll try to, keep it short and sweet, let you know things that are going on to catch you up with what's going on in Central Ohio. But we've enjoyed it today. Really happy that you have been alongside. So that will do it for us, the inaugural Daily Scrum. And, again, we hope that you'll join us as we go down the road. Okay. That is the end of things today. And again, I'm just trying to figure out who to thank. We've had so many people. I won't do it by name except for our studio engineer, Jerry Robbins. As always, a huge help when we need him. That'll do it. I'm Kevin Rouch for the Daily Scrum. Good afternoon, everyone.